So Atahualpa really is the last of the great Incan emperors.
Exactly, yes.
If we're looking for Atahualpa, that's the place to look.
That's the place. The jungle swallowed everything. Oh man, look at this.
This is some Indiana Jones right here. Feels like the top of the world. The mummy of Atahualpa could have been right here.
That's right. Josh, come here.
What do you got?
I don't know what it is.
When you think of a mummy, you might envision a dusty, cloth-wrapped monster dragging itself through a torch-lit tomb. In Hollywood, these undead rulers are always on the move. But it turns out there's one real-life mummy that also refuses to stay in one place. His name is Atahualpa. He was the last king of the Inca Empire. His reign ended when Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro murdered him and brought the Inca civilization to its knees. But Atahualpa retained great power and wealth, even in death. Like all Incan kings, his body was mummified in a sacred ritual designed to give him supernatural sway over the world of the living. And then, his body vanished. It was long believed that Atahualpa was buried where he died in Peru, but recently unearthed documents suggest that his body was secretly carried back to Ecuador to empower an Incan army. In the Ecuadorian highlands, a team of archaeologists are investigating forgotten ruins that may be linked to the mummy's tomb. And for the first time, they're using aerial scanning technology to hunt for answers in some of the densest jungles on Earth. They say you can rest when you're dead, but not if you're an Incan mummy. I'm heading to South America to join the search for the last great king of the Inca and a legend that refuses to die. My name is Josh Gates. With a degree in archaeology and a passion for exploration, I have a tendency to end up in some very strange situations. Good Lord! My travels have taken me to the ends of the earth as I investigate the greatest legends in history.
We're good to fly, let's go.
This is Expedition Unknown. So this is where our story begins. We are in Ecuador, and I'm standing in the palace of the last of the great Incan kings, Atahualpa. But you won't find any stately ruins to admire here today. The only thing down here now are ghosts. What was once a palace is now a tomb. This is a catacomb. But the only remains of Atahualpa's palace come in the form of broken bricks. And as for the mummy of the great leader, it is nowhere to be found. Trust me, I've looked. The bones that you see down here, those are the remains of Spanish priests. And 500 years ago, the Spanish transformed this Incan world above into a Catholic empire. This is the San Francisco Church. It was built by the Spanish in 1534 on the still smoking ruins of Atahualpa's throne. "13 cloisters, 3 churches, sprawling courtyards. There's even a winery in here somewhere. As for the decorations, well, they're not exactly understated. Gold upon gold. But Atahualpa's mother and his son are both entombed here. And among the 3,000 or so paintings are depictions of Incas converting to Christianity. Voluntarily, I'm sure. When Conquistador Francisco Pizarro first met the Inca, they were the largest empire in the Americas. They were advanced in mathematics and astronomy, master road builders of the Andes. Yet Pizarro decimated their entire empire in less than 2 years. Now, standing on top of one culture and within another, I'm about to emerge into a third. Incredible Quito, the beating heart of Ecuador, cradled in a valley nearly 10,000 feet up in the Andes. Its Incan roots may be buried, but its Spanish overlay is nothing short of breathtaking. This is, bar none, the best preserved colonial city on the continent. And maybe it's the lack of oxygen, but the atmosphere in Quito feels utterly relaxed. Folks here truly aren't afraid to have fun. Sir, please. A visitor in this country. Yes! Okay, he won't let go. Seriously, he won't let go of me. Once I manage to escape, I beeline for the city's true claim to fame. This is probably the most famous site in Ecuador, and it's a memorial that commemorates the 1739 French geodesic expedition that mapped the circumference of the world, established the meter as a unit of measurement, and declared this place what we now know as the equator. Welcome to Mitad del Mundo, or the center of the world. The monument is modeled after an Inca temple. On one side, the northern hemisphere. On the other, the southern. A breathtaking view of the middle of the planet. Oh, just one thing. It is slightly in the wrong place. Wait, what? That can't be true. Is that true? Yeah, it's down the street. Okay, pack it up, boys. Come on. Let's try this again. I walk 787 feet to meet Myra, a park ranger and educator at the place global positioning satellites say is the actual 000. This is the real equator.
This is the real equator?
Because I've been lied to before.
Did you go to the monument?
I did.
That's the old equator. Let's
Right.
say it like that, and this is the
Right.
new, more accurate equator.
That's the fake equator.
Fake equator.
No, I'm trying to sell you on one word here. Fake equator.
Fake equator. All right. Yeah, that can be a...
Did I just come up with that?
Yes.
Hashtag fake equator. Both monuments are pretty awesome, actually. This one is decidedly kitschier, complete with supposedly scientific demonstrations of water draining clockwise in the southern hemisphere and the other way in the north. Myra also claims that at the true equator, you can balance an egg upright on a nail.
Oh, there you go. Very good.
How about that? I have to say, that was extremely difficult. I mean, that was...
Job.
Thank you. That was not over easy. Seriously, I could do these yokes all day. Along with these modern monuments, there are also ruins in the nearby hills. Turns out the Inca managed to find the equator without satellites 500 years ago. To learn more about them and about their powerful missing mummy, I'm heading for a meeting at Quito's Ministry of Culture. Very recently, a trove of previously unknown documents was discovered here, and historian Pablo Garcia believes they may hold the key to finding the last great king of the Inca. This is an incredible archive.
Yes, in this institution we hold 1,500,000 documents from the history of Ecuador.
And have you read through all of them?
I wish I had the time. No.
So Atahualpa really is the last of the great Incan emperors.
Exactly, yes, definitely.
When did they come to Ecuador?
Early 1500s,
Why did they come here?
the equator. Closer to the sun to worship their most important god.
In 1532, Atahualpa has just killed his own brother to unite the Inca kingdoms, and is now emperor of a newly consolidated Incan empire. And then what happens?
Pizarro happens.
While Atahualpa takes power, conquistador Francisco Pizarro sails to South America with only 200 Spanish soldiers. Atahualpa, on the other hand, has 80,000 men at his command. He invites Pizarro to meet in the town of Cajamarca, Peru. However, Pizarro arrives first, and with the benefit of Spanish guns, ambushes the Incan king. Atahualpa is kidnapped and locked in a so-called ransom room. Pizarro promises to release him only if he can fill the chamber twice over with pure gold and silver. Amazingly, Atahualpa fulfills the request, and then, in one of history's most appalling double crosses, Pizarro sentences him to death by burning.
Atahualpa begs the Spaniards not to be burned. Every dynasty, their remains had to be maintained and mummified. They would dress them, they would feed them, their palaces were kept.
Were they seen as magical?
Supernatural, yes, sir. So he requested to be killed in a different way.
If Atahualpa leaves no mummy, he'll have no power in the afterlife. So he agrees to convert to Christianity, and in return, Pizarro grants him bizarre mercy, a death by strangulation. Atahualpa will remain all-powerful. His mummy is buried where he fell in Cajamarca, or so it's been thought for the last 450 years. In the history books, I've read that the body gets buried in Peru.
Yes,
So why am I in Ecuador?
because there's a different version of the story.
A curator carries in a box from deep in the archives. Inside is something that could change history as we know it, and perhaps lead to a supernatural mummy. In Ecuador's National Archives, historian Pablo Garcia shows me newly found documents that may point the way to the lost mummy of the Emperor Atahualpa.
We are looking at the moment at 500-year-old documents.
Wow, this is astounding.
This is a chronicle by one of the sailors that came along with Francisco Pizarro along the conquest in 1500s. He was the witness of a great procession carrying these remains of a dead person.
Does he mention Atahualpa by name?
No, he doesn't, but it must have been him because after the murder of Atahualpa in Cajamarca, one of the generals of the empire, Rumiñahui, went to recuperate his remains.
Since the mummy was believed to have supernatural powers, Rumiñahui likely wanted it to help command his army. The procession would have traveled more than 600 miles toward Quito. But where the remains were entombed, well, that's the mystery.
Recently, a historian discovered the will of Atahualpa's son,
Wow. And what is the date of this document?
1583.
How astounding is it to see something like this from the 16th century? What does the will of Atahualpa's son reveal?
It shows where this family maintained property. There is a possibility that this section of Ecuador is the place where the remains were buried.
Would it have been common to put a sacred mummy on family land like this?
For sure. Atahualpa was born in the kingdom of Quito, so it's the ideal place to go and hide the remains of the king of the empire.
Even more intriguing, archaeologists have identified a set of ruins within this land known as Malquimachai that appear to be Incan in origin. Could this be the final resting place of Atahualpa's divine mummy?
These are the pieces of the puzzle that will lead to the remains of Atahualpa.
I grab a 4x4 and head for the ruins of Malquimachai, where a team of archaeologists are investigating the lead. Considering I'm headed well off the grid in the Ecuadorian highlands, I'll need to make a pit stop to grab some supplies. Just outside of Quito is Saquicili, and every Thursday there's a market in town, or more accurately, the entire town turns into a market, a giant open-air department store. First priority is, as always, food. Buenos dias. ¿Cuánto cuesta? How much?
$1.
For all this?
Todo.
Man, I'm getting totally ripped off on bananas back at home, it turns out. The market offers a lot on the menu. Some of it unusual. I may need a toilet in the next 35 seconds. Some of it downright adorable. Ma'am, how much for all of them? I'm setting you free. But in the end, I've kind of lost my appetite. No. I quickly grab some gear for jungle trekking. How much is the backpack? $20. Okay, I'll take it. Can you throw in the toilet paper too? I'm gonna need every roll, ma'am. It's been a good haul. Papa's got a brand new bag, a bunch of bananas, and a load of TP. Time to hit the highway. Or what passes for a highway up here. A few hours south of the capital, and the landscape turns positively prehistoric.
Can you see the sunrise going through the trees?
I climb past vertical rainforests, spectacular lagoons, and dodge some of the more than 30 active volcanoes here. And then, the road climbs into an ethereal mist. These are Ecuador's cloud forests, foggy, high-altitude jungles, and places of untold mystery.
Yeah.
Finally, the vapor clears, and I approach the archaeological site of Malki Machai, where I've arranged to meet with researcher Germán Molina. With him is his colleague and translator, Kale Rodriguez. Hola.
Hola.
Hola. ¿Qué tal? Hi, how are
Hola,
you?
soy Kale.
I'm Josh.
Welcome to the middle of nowhere.
I know, I used the GPS and I sort of thought this must be wrong. So what is this place?
Es un lugar inca ceremonial.
It's a ceremonial Inca place. The jungle swallowed everything. Little by little, we are realizing that there are more Inca sites in Ecuador than we ever suspected.
Germán believes that the documents in Quito are correct, and that Atahualpa's mummy was not only brought back to Ecuador, but may have been hidden here at Malki Machai. We walk even deeper into the jungle. Here, the land looks much the same as it would have when the Inca ruled the continent, or when King Kong battled that T-Rex. What do you think the weight rating is on this thing?
Oh, we're over it.
We cross rivers and climb into the chilly hills. Eventually, though, signs of Inca civilization start to come into view. All of this is Incan, Germán. And this too, this road.
Sí, porque guarda la referencia. Ellos tenían siempre en su camino 2 metros.
You can tell because the fact that it's 2 meters wide,
Right.
as all the Inca road in the whole empire. So this is Inca, 100%.
Really amazing thing is that it's in near perfect condition. I mean, you could drive a car up this. How old is this construction?
Los 500 años que tú comentaste.
Around 500 years.
We have roads in New Jersey that are 50 years old that look like they got hit with a missile.
If the Inca didn't build this for last, they cut their heads off. So,
Yeah, the Union guys don't have that same kind of pressure. That's true. And it continues up.
yep.
Yeah?
Let's go on.
Wow, there's a ton of stonework here. Look at this, an aqueduct. An Incan aqueduct. You've got construction here that's half a millennia old. It's still working perfectly.
Water was holy, Mother Nature is holy, so it could mean that a very important thing happened here.
O sea, para arriba inclusive tienes los caminos y hay otros canales.
There's other canals up there. Can you show me?
Yeah.
The dense jungle growth has covered everything here, an Inca settlement beautifully preserved beneath it. I mean, if you move any of this away, you see
The rocks.
the rocks
Yeah.
just hidden underneath it, like a perfect cobblestone. Further up the hill, though, is a structure that indicates to Germán that Atahualpa's mummy may very well have been here.
Look at that.
Wow, big blocks.
This structure here is not part of the Inca road. This is other kind of structure.
Look at that, and the tree is just growing right out of it. And all back here, too.
Que estas piedras son
It's
más
square-shaped carved stone, which is imperial. It means that we may find an imperial construction here.
Underneath all the moss, underneath all the grass, there could be actually a temple here of some kind.
This is run by nature now, but it could be a whole complex here, undiscovered.
This is some Indiana Jones right here. This is like